Hi everyone, I'd like to talk about a doctor named Norman Shumway who has an MD and a PhD. He went to Stanford University and is known as the father of heart transplantation. He was a former professor of cardiothoracic surgery and he performed the first successful heart transplant surgery in 1968 at Stanford University. Many other heart surgeons have given up on finding a procedure to have a successful heart transplant. However, for Dr. Shumway, he was persistent and determined to find a procedure that worked, that was successful in having a heart transplant surgery that would affect us, um, would affect those who with heart problems and who need heart transplants. Shumway passed along this procedure to many other heart surgeons today. Although it could have improved today, that procedure really helped during that time when he found a successful procedure for it. This was the biggest breakthrough in the medical field, specifically in cardiothoracic surgery during the time for having a successful heart surgery. Although the first successful heart surgery, the patient lived for 14 days, it was still a breakthrough because it did end up working, but nowadays the heart transplant surgery has improved. Not only did he pass along this procedure to help other heart surgeons, he guided and led successful trainers who was under him during the time that impacted the medical field as well. Shumway had a big impact on everyone, and not only on everyone, but in the medical field as well. And I want to share his story about him, this story about him, because it shows persistence and determination. So in my previous video, I talked about why I wanted to be a registered nurse, as well as my end goal of being a registered nurse, and now I'm going to be talking about my future plans after being a registered nurse. So after being a registered nurse, I plan on going to pediatric nurse, I'm sorry. I know before becoming a pediatric nurse at all, I feel like I need to be knowledgeable and skilled at being a registered nurse first, because I feel like that's the base foundation for becoming other types of nurses. So specifically in my case, a pediatric nurse. I feel like a pediatric nurse has a lot on their plate, especially handling situations with patients that are kids. In this case, with registered nurse, I'm going to be handling a wide variety of ages, but this would be specifically for kids. So since I will be gaining a lot of experiences and skills and knowledge about in being a registered nurse, I know for a fact that through those years of being a registered nurse, I would most likely make mistakes. I would mostly make mistakes that I can learn from, and from these experience of mistakes, I can add on or improve or change for later in the future. So by going through the obstacles instead of going around it, I think that would lead me and make me a persistent and determined person to later go on into pediatric nursing, instead of giving up or just staying where I'm comfortable at, which is being a registered nurse. And I don't want to be the person or that gives up because things got too hard, and I wouldn't want to be a pediatric nurse anymore. So my future plans after being a registered nurse, I hope to be a pediatric nurse, and I'm determined to be a pediatric nurse, so that I know for myself that I've gone through all the obstacles during my registered nurse years to become a pediatric nurse. Although I have a long ways, definitely a long ways to go um, of being a skilled and knowledgeable registered nurse, um, and then go into pediatric nursing. I hope that all of the obstacles that I've gone through will build me to be a hard working person, so that I will get to where I need to be later on in the future. And not only has Dr. Shumway's story um, impacted me or interested me because of his persistence and hard work, but I also want to talk about my parents. I want to talk about how throughout their entire lives, um, as an adult, they've worked hard um, to get to where they need to be now. I know for a fact that my dad had to go through a lot of obstacles, difficult decisions to get to where he needs to be today, to take care of me and my sister, to support my family today, and as well as my mom. I know that my parents were not born here, and they were born in Vietnam, and they basically came from nothing. And because they came from nothing, they worked even more harder to get to where they need to be today. I look up to that. I admire them for that um, because they worked really hard throughout their life and worked every day from morning till nighttime. Um, they've given me, my sister, the opportunities of going to school, going to college, that they never had the opportunity to. And I really admire that. And it makes me want to work harder as a person because I want to be known as a hardworking person like my parents are. And like Dr. Shumway and other successful people who have worked really hard to get to where they need to be, and who have stuck with it, who have been persistent and determined to get to where they need to be today. And not only that, that just drives me as a person to um, get to where I need to be in the future later on. And I think that's very important to me because if I lower my standards or goals right now, I know for a fact that that just brings me down as a person, and I won't. For myself, I would believe that I'm not as a hardworking person, and that's just not what. That's just not the type of person I want to be later in the future, as well as right now. So, um, I want to struggle and go through obstacles, make mistakes, just to learn, gain experience, and know for a fact that the type of person who does not give up, who who's persistent and determined. Because um, my future plans after being a registered nurse is very important to me, and um, the underlying details for that is very important to me because I don't want to be a person who gives up on any difficult obstacles or any difficult struggles that I go through. And for right now, I just wanna, as I'm still young, I still want to make mistakes. I still want to learn. I want to gain as much experience as possible through anything, and especially in my field of hopefully being a registered nurse, um, to be the person that I need to be, who is hardworking, driven, and as well as persistent and determined. And without these values, I feel like that's the person that would bring me down. And hopefully in the future that does not bring me down. I hope you all enjoyed my video for this week, and I would love to hear the feedback that you've given me for this video. I know I talked really fast in this video, but um, these are all important things to me for my future plans. So I hope that everyone understands. And I wanted to talk about how everyone struggles, and I hope that we all can make it through it because we just want to be successful one day. And being persistent will make us all successful. Thank you, everyone. Bye.